Hi, welcome to reading. It's been a few days. My name's Alicia. I'm Oracle Divine Seer. I will be reading the field for you today. Don't worry about what time you click on this video. Is timeless. So even if it's like a year down the line, there will be something in here for you. If you haven't yet joined Patreon, you'll have exclusive content on there. Now new, you can also join the membership here on YouTube. If you want it all in one place, you can become a member on here on YouTube, and you will get exclusive content. So you will get 12 monthly zodiac readings, and I will be doing bi-weekly check-ins every new moon and full moon. So you can now also join on here. That's all linked down below. So I'm just getting set up. I'm gonna do 3 by 3. Yeah, it's been a big topic. I've been picking up on this for a few days, or I've been hearing specifically this word, quantum leaping. Of course, all of you from Patreon will know about this as well, especially those of you who have been booking in for the quantum clearings with me. You're like in the middle of a massive shift, and you are integrating the work that we've already done, and you're gonna come out of it feeling differently for sure. I guess you don't have to be a Patreon member to feel this energy. You may have been doing work yourself where you have been noticing you've been shifting and leaping into different timelines, and with that also comes like a period of, it's as if it feels like what we see in movies often of like, oh, when you have your life flash before your eyes, before you croak. But here, hopefully you're not gonna croak. It's more like a similar energy, because when you quantum leap and you timeline shift, you do go through what we would call a death and rebirth experience in one lifetime, and you will have multiple of those depending how I got it as like depending where you're headed and how much you, I guess, work on getting there, and what you invest in, what you do not, like what you consume, what you do not, like everything, it all influences you. That was a big topic in the last reading 10 days ago as well. Like everything, it influences you. What you consume influences you. Who you listen to influences you, for better or for worse. And that's why I personally say, I've been that way since I can remember. I didn't really have any role models growing up, because there wasn't really a lot of people that I wanted, that I'd look up to and was like, okay, I want to be like you. It was more the opposite. It's like what I don't want to be like. So it can help to have that as like, I guess, like a guideline, that when someone, and this is where, because there's like a flood of information, especially like when you are scrolling, you may listen to people that, even if it's just a minute or 1.5 or 2 minutes, may plant something in your freaking brain that will or does not serve you. Will not serve you, does not serve you. And I've touched upon this already with like freaking traps that people run into with channelers, mediums, tarot readers, who like you can, a tarot reader or a channeler will also be able to, like, they will only to go as deep with you as deep as they've gone with themselves. Like the level of work they've done with themselves is as well the level of work that they can go, as deep as they can go with a client. So again, I don't know why this is coming through again, but it's just to be aware of that, because you are getting influence constantly. And if I have to, this was just 10 days ago, was already a message. If it comes through again, it needs to be drilled in your head again. maybe the message didn't land, or you weren't ready for it, or you're just still giving a lot of power, a lot of your energy to, I'm just getting like shadow figures. There's hollow vessels that are also creating content with certain intentions, where it's just some of you are getting siphoned and you're not realizing you're getting siphoned. Whatever you're consuming, that's where you're giving power. This is as well why people are like, why do we have freaking idiots as leaders of the world? It's because you're literally you're consumed, like you're giving them all your attention. Your attention is a currency. So whoever you're giving your attention to, that's who you're making rich, wealthy, powerful, like have influence. Like that's why actually, when was this? It was a couple of months ago when there was like this, I think it was during like when Palestine was being, like when there was the dispatchment. I'm just thinking of, because there was like a blackout where they wanted to, like there was this, I don't know if it was, how do you call that? There was like an uproar, like people were blocking celebrities. And that actually does a lot more than you would think. Like, for some reason, I'm just thinking of that as an example, or I guess as confirmation that is a form of active, like the way it was in the grand, like as big as that was, because it was, I think, like there was one of the celebrities, I think, lost like 10k overnight, or it was just like they felt something, and then suddenly they were advocating, I think it all had to do with like boycotting Israeli products that certain celebrities were like endorsing, and then there was like this whole like uproar of like, oh, we're gonna cancel this celebrity, and people just ended up blocking them, and that is like one that had an effect. So this is just underlying how what you give your attention to, again, that's what you make powerful, what you make have influence. So instead of like, oh, just little old me, I don't have any, I can't change the whole world. Well, already if like, let's say 60% of people that have reached a certain consciousness level, if they become more conscious of who and what they're consuming, you're gonna make more change than you would think. And this can start in your own, like on your own social media. If you don't like if you don't like someone popping up on your feed, block them. That's the quickest way you take away, like that's one way to retain energy. And also just like what I said. But it's not even about, it's coming back down to you. It's coming about you mastering your field, and you becoming aware, or you being like loving yourself enough that like, okay, where my attention goes is where my energy flows, so I'm going to be picky and aware of where my attention goes. And as well, that's why you see so many doubles, and like, how when you go through your feed, or you scroll through, how many people freaking look the same, are doing the same, like the homes look the same, when actually, when you take time out, so I have like a weird bug, when you take time out is when you align. Like, basically one message here has to do with the more you understand your energetic imprint, like the more you understand your own frequency and what it feels like, the more you're gonna by nature, like naturally, organically, you're gonna be more aware as to what on your out, like what you want to give your attention to and what not. It just underlines what already came through. It's just about, it's not about other people. It's not so much about other people. It's not so much about what's going on in the world. It's not so much about celebrities. It's more that, like, to summarize, or what they want me to talk about is that you becoming the master of your own energy. These are like these are little steps that you can start with. And I just keep getting a sense whoever's listening is just not understanding how much you're getting influenced. You may think it's nothing. You know, you may think like, oh, me scrolling for 1 to 3 to 5 hours a day is nothing. It's just a way to kill time. So you're literally filling your whole system with other people's stories, other people's opinions, other people's energy. And then you're wondering why you're feeling confused, or why you have like 1,000 like your thoughts running at 1,000, kilometers per hour. So with the quantum shift and the quantum leaping, I'm just getting a sense like a lot of you are doing that anyway. Like, you're quantum leaping, quantum shifting anyway, but there's a part of like, I'm just getting a vision of like being shaped like clay, but not being aware that you're being shaped by clay. And this is as well, it's just like, I guess, a bit of an extension of the last reading of like, yeah, how much other people, how much the external world is shaping you, and it's not always in your best interest. So again, I'm hearing like taking a time out. You may not think it's like, when you get an urge to log off or just like follow that urge, it seems really important, whoever is like tuning in right now, because I'm hearing like FOMO, fear of missing out, but that is a trap in itself. That is not even, like, how many years ago was like 20, not even 20 years ago, like, I don't even know when like this whole social media thing like popped off the way it did, but I think like 20 years ago you had like email? I don't know, maybe Tumblr was around. But for some reason this has just been a big topic. Social media, like, but the topic that they keep wanting me to talk about is how it's shaping you. And I guess with the Chariot out, I know that who I attract to this channel, or who also ends up joining Patreon, is who has a deep need or a deep desire to live the truth. Like, you may have always been drawn to people that are authentic, even if they are messy, even if they have like, flaws that are just broadcasted. You're the type that always is more drawn to that than like picture perfect, or like fucking cleaned house that looks like nobody's using it, like just shit that doesn't feel real, doesn't look real, doesn't really have soul, and it's just like a byproduct or like a copy. And that's again what we already touched upon here. You will see a lot of, I guess, more women, but also, I don't know if with men as well, but you just see copy and paste, like copying an aesthetic and just copy pasting an aesthetic. It's not really, it's curated, it may look beautiful, it may look aesthetically pleasing, but it's not it's not an original imprint. It's not anything that they've sourced from their own soul. It's not, it's a carbon copy of something that's already out there. And it's like a high percentage of that's also what you're consuming, and then you not even realizing that you're comparing yourself to that, and it's just, whoever I'm tuning into or whatever this message is about is like, okay, how can you come back to center? How can you come back to your signal? How can you first and foremost start tuning into who you are and what you've come here to create? or express or simply just be. And like, trust me, it's not being a carbon copy of something. You know, like, it may work, you know, it may work with some. You can even build an empire that way, you can build a huge following, but you're gonna feel like sooner or later you're gonna feel hollow, and it's gonna leave a bitter aftertaste, because like, on a soul level you will always have that niggling feeling that there's either more out there for you, or that you're just simply you're not living your truth. You're not living out who you've come here to be. And that is gonna, it's gonna chew at you, you know, especially if you are somewhat aware and you're somewhat like here, you know, and awake, and you're not a sleeper. If you're a sleeper, you can go your whole life that way. You won't give it, like, you won't even be aware. But if you are like on a journey of rediscovering exactly this, like your original imprint, your like who you are at a soul level, with all the gifts and talents that have come with it, foremost, you're at the right place. This is why you're here, for sure. But also it is a journey, like it is. That's why, you know, you have, I don't know how many have talked about this or have their own guides book of how to discover yourself. For some reason I keep thinking about Ram Dass. I think he was I guess just somewhat of a pioneer in the Western world, but I think he just went to India and fucking, you know how all these Westerners went to India in like the 70s, and they just took ancient teachings and just westernized it, or like, I guess made it applicable for the Western world. But we know where credit is due, we know where it came from. You know, the old teachings, that's what it's coming down to. Like, this is not new. There's nothing new we're talking about. What has been happening is that it's just a bit more, it's becoming a bit more scientific, the way we talk about it. You know, less woo-woo, less esoteric. Like, it's very mixed now with like backed up by science. That's what has changed. So yeah, also who's that guy? I'm just thinking about another guy. He did like the brain. He does all these meditations, which again is not really anything new. It's just a new way of packaging it. But yeah, let's see what else. I'm gonna go with one card out. Yeah, because there was this big talk of like 666, or the devil, and they're gonna put microchips in us and shit like that. This again is why what already came through, like what you're consuming shapes your reality, shapes your thoughts, and when something shapes your thoughts, it in turn shapes your reality, because it will co-create with you. Like, if let's say, yeah, you are someone who's freaking scrolling 3, 4, 5 hours a day, and you're just consuming other people's shit, yeah, like, if you're picky and you're consuming what actually serves you, you're gonna be a-okay, and that in itself, you will quantum leap in a way that, yeah, it can push you further, because we have to share it out here, like, it's not all bad. But if you're like somewhat sleeping and you're just scrolling and you're consuming so much shit that either makes you anxious, it makes you feel weird, like you're creating worlds for someone else in a way as well. So it's just to summarize that where your attention goes, that's who ends up getting having influence, having ultimately control even. So this is where as well advertisement is like a whole, you know, that's why you have psychologists in advertisement, or people that study psychology, or psychology is a big thing of advertising, because it's about how can they get you emotionally invested. And that as well brings me to, like, I'm hearing the Shade Room and all these like gossip magazines, and got like the if you start zooming out and looking, like breaking the world down in exactly like, I guess, energy clusters, you're gonna see that a lot of it is about how can they reel you in, how can they keep you hooked. And that's why I already went on a little bit of a rant, because I am like constantly observing, and I haven't been on TikTok again. I told on Patreon, I was like, I'm not gonna be back there again, but I don't know, maybe it's just a break, I still don't know, but for now that's not really my favorite platform. But yeah, when I was on there, when I was posting on there, I do always observe, and I make my own, I have my own readings on platforms as well as like entities. And I did suddenly start feeling like, I don't know if this is going to be an ongoing thing, but I just was seeing there as well. Maybe that's why I prefer YouTube at the moment, because it's like a longer format. You, especially if you're new, you get like more of a feeling of, I guess, who I am as a reader or as a practitioner. Like, it's just more, it feels warmer, and it feels more, for me it's more fitting for the moment. But what I'm trying to say is that if you start breaking it down this way, you can break down like reeling you in first few seconds, getting you somehow emotionally involved. That's what's gonna get you hooked, and that's what's gonna. So of course you can use that for good or for worse. If you're like a clout chaser and you just want to fucking get as many views and as many followers as you can, that's the way you're gonna do it. And this is what I kept telling you, like, was bothering me, because I was getting clients who came from other tarot readers and just had a bunch of bullshit in their head that wasn't even true. And it was really mucking up the lives, in the sense that they were making decisions about romantic relations. Like, it was just, they were confused. Like, I'd have clients who was like, oh yeah, I just had a reading last week, and I just had another reading 2 weeks ago, and I was like, what the hell are these readers doing with you? Because it's like you're like, it's scattered, the energy was scattered, and it's scattered, and that's just, again, just be careful of that. Like, it's not really a job to take lightly. I'm really, like, that's why I as well take breaks and take long breaks, because maybe that's just my trajectory, but like, I know what type of responsibility, like, it's a lot of responsibility. Like, it's not for jokes. I don't find it's for jokes. There's a lot of responsibility. I'm really glad I have training in like psychology as well, and training as a therapist and training as a practitioner. And I have like a background in medicine, because that does really help me. I'm just saying this as well because this is just a guideline as to how you can help yourself, especially if you resonate and you have been relating to, I've been watching readers, and it's entertaining, but it's kind of the same. It's the same. I haven't really been growing. I haven't really been evolving. And I remember as well on TikTok, that was so frustrating for me, because I was like reading the field, and I remember like even for a whole like 1 or 2 years, at one point I was like, it's the same as messages, like it's not changing. And then when I started like funneling, and now I'm more on here, or more like I'm just focused on here, my baby Patreon, that was like the funnel, or is the funnel for, think of out of 66k, how percentage wise a few who are truly devoted and truly want to change and align with the truth and live an authentic life. 70%, or I don't know how many percentage, actually don't want to. They live off of that entertainment, or keep hearing the same message about some lover or some fucking twin flame who's basically, doesn't even know you exist, or doesn't even talk to you in 5 years. What I'm saying is it was, at one point it felt like a whole clusterfuck of just, I don't want to I don't know if it's psychosis. I don't really want to go that in, but just not, if you're spiritually, if you're tuned in, tapped in, and you're aware, you will have more of a tendency of going off and just not being most at one point kind of leave planet Earth a bit. And I don't really want to say with this, I don't really want to go into it's a good or bad thing. It's more than when you're guiding, or you're meant to guide thousands of people with your messages, that's who you're looking towards. I remember this one I went off on her. I don't know why I went off on her, but she was working with plant medicine, and she was having identity, she was wearing a hijab at one point, and then 2 weeks later she was a different religion, and I was it's online, it's online, it's public, and you're watching this, and I as well was more, I just remember how exactly does that, how does that work when you're in crisis yourself and you don't take breaks? It's not even about with your public figure, people will see you go through changes, people will see you go through growth, people will even see you with your struggles, whether this is psychosis or not, that's not the issue, that can still be transparent, or it's still just a part of it, especially if you're online for longer, you just become somewhat of a public figure, and people have their own interpretations. It's just, I don't know how to say this. I keep hearing the word curated, making you believe something, or it's just something to watch out for. But this is also not anything new. This is nothing new, having a cult following, or having a lot of influence because you've built a big following. It's just not many see behind the persona. You may have seen this with me as well. You will have seen, especially on TikTok, you will have seen when it got really draining for me, or when I was you will see as well. You will have seen where I was going through my own ups and downs, or I'm going through my own ups and downs. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Very strange. But it does feel like a warning. On some level, I do want to warn you, and I as well. I'm just reminiscing because this is mostly on TikTok. So again, I don't know if that platform is just has a very different energy. YouTube has a different energy, and Patreon has a different energy. It's just more you don't always see yourself, you'll see yourself, or you meet yourself through these different platforms as well in a different way. And TikTok just felt like the most, I don't know if you can call it shallow, but it's just quick, it's quick information, quick dances, and you can and will get invested in other people's lives. So again, it's just bringing me to, like, where your energy goes, where your attention flows, that's where energy goes. So I'm just reminiscing about my time in TikTok, because that's where I felt like the most public. That's where I felt like the most, or people can see, can see what I'm going through, or they can gauge where I'm at, if I'm having a good day or if I'm a bad day. And I remember that's what people were getting involved in were getting somewhat involved or invested in my life. And maybe that's why I had to take a break. I don't know, but I didn't like the feeling. Because it wasn't about the readings anymore. It was about me as a fucking person, and it was just, I'm still learning how to navigate that. I still like sometimes slip, or sometimes a message comes through where I start talking about my experiences, because that's the way I can convey the message. And also I want to be very clear that it's not about like, oh, I'm better than this and this and that, and they're less better. That's not like what I'm trying to do. It's more like an awareness that I guess some of it is where it is passed down. Like some, I want to say like me, that work closely with ancestors and have like gone through certain rites where I couldn't or was not allowed to offer certain type of work until I've like proven to who I do work with and who does back me up that I can take responsibility. And then some bypass that, or they do not honor the deities, or they do not honor other people's deities, and I just feel like they can take from whoever they want to. It's all for grabs, even like from close practices. And that's what I'm just saying. I saw a lot. That's why I brought up this girl. That's just an example of like the hijab, and like just like take this is a whole new age, the whole new age thing, and it still does take some navigating. And I feel like there is still there, maybe I end up writing about, I don't know, but I've just been like, when I get called by a deity that is not really linked to my bloodline, I'm also always a little bit not like wary. I'm just like, I question it more so than if it's a deity that is linked to, oh, I know my ancestors have already worked with this deity. Then it's like, oh yeah, of course, like we can start getting to know each other. But if it's not linked to my ancestral lineages, then I'm always a little bit more wary. And this is why I'm saying that this is someone whose spiritual gifts are bloodline forged, meaning you've had ancestors, you have great like forefathers, grandmothers, great grandmothers that have already been working and have already like paved the way for you. You're gonna go at this craft very differently than someone who just saw someone online and was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this now as well. I'm gonna buy a bunch of freaking books on Amazon or wherever, some ebooks, and then crafts a persona, but it's not backed up. There's no rights. There's nothing that grounds you and anchors you, and you're building up a following and then guiding people into the fucking abyss that then I need to pick up again, because somehow they find their way to me and need to sort them out again. And I know this is a bit like maybe bluntly put, but that's exactly what happens. Like it does come with rites and it comes with passages. And there as well, you know, if you can't cross the threshold, you have to start again until you can. There's no bypassing, there's no like shortcuts. That's as well what a lot of, I guess, when you're just, oh, I'm gonna do this now because I saw it and I find it kind of cool and trend. Like I've just seen it happen more than once, and that's why I'm saying it is a bit of a warning, where people lose, they're not on planet Earth anymore. And it's different when like muggles, come on your platform and I don't know what the fuck you're doing anyway, and they call you, like, it's different from that. This is like we're talking about in this sort of community where you're already the crazies, you're already there, but truly then, not fully here anymore. So I'm just saying again, it's like with the, I want to say you'll feel it yourself, like ultimately you will feel yourself who can guide you and teach you. It's like you get little symbols, you get little nudges, or you get like, like you feel it. I'm hearing you feel it, or like, who you're meant to, who you're meant to work with. But I'm just getting like massive contrast, and I'm getting confusion, and it is because, you might just want to go through, you might just want to take a minute. This may just be food for thought. Maybe go through your following list or whatever, and just take a moment and really feel into, okay, who has been adding value, or where I've really been, where am I investing my time and energy in, and actually what the output or what's coming back is also serving me, and I can feel that it's like uplifting, or it's motivating me, or it gives me the kick in the ass that I needed, but it doesn't keep me stuck in a loop, and it's not me, it's a sort of co-creation as well as what I'm just hearing, like, which ultimately can also speak of alignment, and then like visions aligning as well. Like if you know the intention of a person, or why someone is channeling, and they're not just doing it for clicks, or they're not just doing it for that, it's just gonna feel very different, and it's gonna bring you to a different place. And there's no shame in wanting guidance, and there's no shame in like needing a little bit of help, or like just wanting, oh my god, I just had to think of all, this is like a marketing, when they're like, hi bestie, what's up bestie. I used to hate that shit. I'm like, what the fuck, how can you, like, stop. It's a marketing scheme. And that's where as well I had to just learn to keep some, I guess, a bit of like cold distance with my clients as well, because of course, like, I'd have clients that would just feel like I'm a sister, or I'm like a past life, whatever, and it would make me feel very uncomfortable, because for me it's like, look, I don't know who you are. This is our first email, this is the first time we're meeting, like, and that's as well maybe where I just have that, like, I maybe just be really grounded that way, or just have like a natural, I don't want to sell you like a fantasy, like, oh, you're working with me and we're gonna be best friends after, and sipping champagne and eating caviar somewhere. Like, it's not gonna happen. Well, maybe, maybe if we work together for, I don't know, 5-10 years, maybe we'll we will end up sitting together, who the fuck knows, but it's just like, there's just so much. It just brings me back to the beginning of like marketing, and when you start breaking down the world in little bite like chunks, you will understand a lot of how it's set up, and how like already came through, of how it's set up to reel you in to get your energy, because your energy is currency, and that's how you feed a system, that's how you feed a person, that's how you feed an institution. And if you're not aware of it, which unfortunately a lot of people are not, that's why it's very common, I like to say, maybe you don't know this, but whoever owns media, whoever owns the big media channels also ultimately like controls the population. There's just different channels of how to get into your brain and hijack your brain, and if you're not aware of it, and again, like, that is the media, so that's like big institutions, but now of course this is also personalized people just on the freaking internet talking about something like me, which as well, maybe you hear me talk and you're like, I don't align with you at all, like, I don't know what you're talking about, it doesn't, then you have your answer, you're not meant to be here, then you may feel more drawn to someone else. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean better or for worse in that case, it's just, it did feel like a bit of a warning, but only because I'm telling you, I've had clients that were sent to me or came to me from having worked with other people, and there was just a lot that felt like it set them back 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And then we did a few sessions, and it just felt like it just didn't feel, I want to say it didn't feel fair, or it was just like missing that gene of like discernment, that even as a channel, or even with therapists, it's not even in just mediumship, it's not even in this world, it's also therapists. I know therapists that fucking take no accountability in their own life, and if you talk to them about something that like can't meet you at a level of like what you've experienced, because they can't go in that depth, or they haven't done the shadow work. So it's not only in mediumship, it's not only in like the spiritual community, it can be anywhere. But there's it's just this propaganda, there's as well, which came through on Patreon. This has been a big topic of like feeling, just becoming more in tune with your body and how you feel, and that's as well where the whole sobriety was already a big topic as well, because of course if you're like abusing a substance, or you're numbing yourself out through substance, you will just be more susceptible to exactly all of this shit, where you're just consuming because you're already numbed out, so you don't give a fuck, but ultimately it's what takes over your life, and you just become a freaking cog in someone else's wheel. So it's a lot of information in, I guess, 43 minutes. It's a lot of information packed in 43 minutes, but I'm just gonna keep coming on here. It's like, the way I've been reading has, I guess, changed in itself, because I told you already, like, I'm kind of don't need the cards as much as I used to. They're still my favorite tool, but I don't need them as much as I used to anymore. So I'm just gonna go from here. Like I told you, if something needs to be drilled in the collective's head, the collective I read for, I will just repeat it. And again, join Patreon. It really will guide you through this. And like I said, that's if you feel like that is your goal, or that is what is a priority in your life, to just come home to yourself, then that's what I can offer you. One part of what I can offer you is a platform where you will meet others that are moving through similar energies as you are. You have access to the quantum clearing sessions, and it will just be an accelerated pace of what you would already move through in this lifetime, right? It's just accelerating, meaning you can compress time in a way where you will, what you might do in 5-10 years, you do in 2 or 1 year. But it does take commitment and it does take work. It's like freaking working another job next to your 9 to 5 or what you're already working at. But this is again where I can't decide for you if it's worth the investment or not. It's just what I can offer with the tools that I do have, and I am passionate about it. You can see it in my face. Anyways, I'll see you soon.